We sat on the floor for this one, so you know it's gonna be good. Hello, my name is Meg. I'm 26 and I like books. Yep, we're keeping it. We're keeping the intro. I wanted to do the mid-year Freakout tag because it's the end of June and I've read 55 books and it kind of feels fitting because I didn't read very much in June, and with the whole house move and all that, it feels like I'm kind of pressing pause and then restarting this whole reading year. So I figured I'd do it. I'd say I've had a pretty good reading year so far. Some new favourites, which is always great. Not as many as I was expecting, I don't think, but a lot of enjoyable reads that weren't favourites, like a lot of 3 and 4 stars. I think I'm actually surprised with the amount of 4 stars I'm giving out this year because I feel like I gave out 5 stars and 3 stars last year, and this year I'm actually giving out 4 stars because it feels like I've had more reading experience, so I'm able to distinguish between books I enjoy but aren't my favourite and books that are fine, which is where the 3 needs to be as opposed to the 4. Yeah, let's just get into this. I don't really know what's going on right now. Question 1. Best book you've read so far this year. It's really annoying because there's a book I haven't finished yet that I know is up there, and that is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And I love the way that's written so much. I feel like I can only read a chapter at a time because it's so delicate, it's fragile, I don't want to ruin it by reading too much. And I don't always think about it because it's not a story, it's not like I'm being pulled back in by a plot. It's kind of like when I go there to enjoy it, I really enjoy it. When I'm not in it, I don't think about it. So I'm slowly working through it. But the only other one that I would say is the best book I've read so far is Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This caught me by surprise. My sister Molly has been raving about Becky Chambers for ages. She loves the Wayfarer series so much. And when I went to visit Molly last month, I ended up reading A Psalm for the Wild Built basically the same time she was. She had it in hardback. I kind of looked at it and went, that looks like a nice short book that might get me out of a reading slump. Let's read that. So I got the ebook of it and oh my gosh, I loved it so much. And I was hanging on every word. It was like this beautiful, chill, wholesome vibe that was really inquisitive, if that makes sense. It was calm, but it was also inquisitive, and it was about the way a person feels as opposed to what's going on in the world, in a way. I don't know. I really loved it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the sequel. Number 2, best sequel you've read so far. I really haven't read that many sequels. I think the only 2 that I've read are Heartstopper Volume 2 and all the rest of the Heartstoppers, and Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, which I'm still working through. I'm halfway through the audiobook. I do all of the Stormlight Archive in audiobook form because they are an undertaking. Plus, even to get through one book, you have to buy 2 books. It's a whole investment thing. Yeah, I love the Stormlight Archive. I know I haven't finished it yet, but I'm pretty happy in saying that Oathbringer is probably the best sequel I've read. Number 3, new release I want to read. I've actually got a few for this, which is great. Book Lovers just came out by Emily Henry, and it is my July pick for my sister's book club. So I'm going to be reading that with them. Also, the Skyward Flight trilogy, which is a set of novellas based in the same universe as Skyward, which is one of my favourite books that I read last year. So really excited for that. Also, Time is a Mother. I read Ocean Vuong's first novel, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, earlier in the year. It's actually my first pick for our Sisters Book Club. And I really enjoyed it, but I felt like I would get on with his poetry better. So I picked up Night Sky with Exit Runes and Time is a Mother, but I haven't got around to them yet. So I'm really excited to do that when I'm in kind of a poetry sort of mood. I think they're probably going to be my go-to. Number 4, most anticipated release for the rest of the year. I have so many this year. A Prayer for the Crown Shy, which is the sequel to A Psalm for the Wild Built. Also, there's a new Before the Coffee Gets Cold book out. This one's called Before Your Memory Fades. It's set in a totally different cafe, but it has that same magical realism kind of vignette sort of style about it by the sounds of things. So I'm so excited for that. That comes out in September. And I found out today that there's a new Sayaka Murata book coming out in July as well, called Life Ceremony, which sounds really interesting, and I'm in love with Sayaka Murata's writing anyway, so I feel like it's going to be an insta-buy. I love that kind of creepy absurdness that she's been bringing to the more recent novels, so like Earthlings, and it seems like this is going down the same route. I mean, there's an eyeball on the cover, so I'm expecting it. Number 5, biggest disappointment. I was not expecting to dislike this book anywhere near as much as I thought I would. I've heard good things from fans of the author, and I felt like, having read a book of hers in the past and kind of enjoying it, but it kind of fell mid for me. I felt like I was going to enjoy this one more, and it fell completely flat for me, and that is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. This was Molly's pick for the family book club in May, and it was such a struggle. I found everything just to be really awkward and pretentious for the sake of it. Like, it felt like it could have been refined. I felt like everything was just drama for the sake of drama. Felt like the characters were just digging themselves holes, and there wasn't any balance to it, if that makes sense. Like, I could understand if a character, the kind of character arc of somebody is self-destruction, but there needs to be a balance to it for me to really feel like it's not super depressing. So yeah, I really did not enjoy the book at all. Biggest surprise is probably the Heartstopper books. I really disliked Radio Silence when I read it last year. I felt like it felt immature to me, and maybe that's great for people of that age, but I felt like I couldn't connect to it. So I was expecting a similar thing out of Heartstopper, because it is meant for the same age range, really. But incredibly, it was so cute and heartfelt. I don't know if it's just the medium of graphic novel that just sold it for me, but I loved it. It felt real. I felt like a part of it without feeling like I was too old for it, you know? It was nice. It was comforting, and I read them all in like a day. New favourite authors. So I went on a bit of a Wendy Cope binge back in like April sort of time. Probably my new favourite poet. She blends like poetic form with comedy, and also a lot of heartfelt, meaningful stuff. And I felt like that was a perfect mix for me, because I like poetic forms when they're approachable and the comedy added to that, and when her poems felt really meaningful and true and real. It felt like it wasn't out of place, and it just kind of ebbed and flowed like a roller coaster, you know? I also feel like Becky Chambers is probably up there for me. But I'm just going to go on about Sound for the World Built. I loved it so much. I'm totally going to read more Becky Chambers. In fact, I already have 3 of the Wayfarers books on my shelf, so it's coming. Number 8, new fictional crush. I really don't feel like I've got one. Maybe Patrick in Yoke. I felt like his vibe was really chill and nice, and not that he was nice, but like the vibes were good. I'm not into this whole romance trope of, oh, they're this hot guy that cares a lot. Like, that's, you see that everywhere. What set Patrick aside for me was like the fact that he was just so chill, and it wasn't trying to be a romance trope, and that just made a change for me. I think that's why I would say that. Otherwise, I don't have an answer, so that's like really grasping at straws. New favorite character. I'm gonna go on about Psalm for the Wild Built again. Mosscap is incredible. Mosscap the robot. Oh, so good. So good. And the way that Mosscap interacted with the protagonist was fantastic. Like, their whole dialogue was so good, because it was so... I think the best way to describe it is like if you went on a quest with a toddler and a toddler was trying to make sense of the world. It kind of had those vibes, but Mosscap was articulate and had a past and a whole set of beliefs already, but his understanding of the world as it was, or at least the human occupied parts of it. I believe they're humans. I don't think that's really specified actually, but the non-robot or occupied areas of the world, his understanding of those is flawed, and that's kind of where that road trip kind of connection comes in. I love Mosscap. Mosscap's great. Also the name Mosscap. Number 10, a book that made you cry. I was in a train station waiting to catch a train to London when I started reading The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion, and that was absolutely the wrong place to start reading The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. For those of you that don't know, The Year of Magical Thinking is a memoir about the year following Joan Didion's husband's death. And immediately, it just instilled me with this fear that my fiance was going to die at some point. And I mean, yes, obviously, he's going to die at some point, but I don't need to think about that right now. I need to live my life, and I need to enjoy my time with him and not worry about his death and what I'm going to be like after that. So yeah, it made me cry. It was insane. 11, a book that made you happy. Again, a Psalm for the Wild Bill. Beautiful vibes. Truly special happiness, wholesomeness moment that is a Psalm for the Wild Bill. It's so good. And I mean, if you want me to answer something that's not a Psalm for the Wild Bill, I would probably say Heartstopper, because that filled me with like happiness and wholesomeness as well. Number 12, most beautiful book you bought. I have a few. It's a series. Bear with me. I'm just going to fish them out from that shelf there. Most beautiful books I bought this year. Skyward, clearly. Look at it. Starsight, clearly. Look at it. Cytonic, incredible. Look at it. And Skyward Flight, which has full page art in every time there's a new novella. Lovely. Also honorable mention to Bloom, because the entire color scheme is just, oh, it's so beautiful and crisp. 13, what book do you want to read before 2020 ends? Oh, so many. I've already mentioned the Wayfarer series. I really want to get to that. Molly picked Legends and Lattes for her November pick for our book club, which I'm so excited about. It's been on my radar for ages, and it gives me an excuse to buy it. It's great. Also, I'm on a big Japanese and translated fiction kick right now. Japanese specifically has been strong for me, but I've read some Korean translated fiction that I've really loved, and I've got an Arabic translated book up there which has been sitting there annoying me for like 2 years now. I really want to read it. It's not 2 years, it hasn't been 2 years, it's been about a year. Don't know what I'm on about, but I really want to read it. 14, favourite community members. I'm always going to shout out Alison Pages. I feel like I relate to her on a very like deep level. She's gone back to university later in her life. She just started. I started about 2 years ago. Plus we have very similar taste in books. I've been part of her book club for a long time, and a lot of the books on there are favourites or like I've really enjoyed. Some of them I've hated, but a lot of them I've enjoyed. And her vlogs are just great vibes. They just make you happy. There's nothing else I can say about it. Other community members I love. JD Ray Reads has been one I've been watching a lot recently, especially because we're from the same town. All her book buying vlogs. She's in the Waterstones that I go to and the independent bookshop that I go to. It's crazy, and it's amazing that we've not stumbled into each other in the past, because I would probably fangirl, let's be honest. But it would be really cool to just hang out with her. Like, she's a lot more established than I am. It's probably not gonna happen, but I don't know, it'd be cool to have a bookish friend and a booktube friend as well that's local. But yeah, that was the mid-year freakout tag, and boy did I freak out. Just kidding. July is the Summer Splash Readathon. I am probably going to be vlogging my reading all month, really. I'm hoping to get back into vlogs in a big way as well. I've got a lot of leave booked, which is going to make that a bit easier, but if my sisters are graduating, so I'm seeing that happen. But yes, hopefully a lot more books in my future. My goal is still 125. I'm not halfway there, so I'm going to have to pick it up. But that's it from me. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being you, and I will see you in the next video.